If today the world knows Jungkook as one of the brightest stars in the K-pop universe, then perhaps what many do not know is the biggest secret behind all the calmness, politeness, and humble attitude of a Jungkook. It's not just shaped by stage glitters, army cheers, or hard training from Big Hit in the Korean entertainment industry, but from one simple phrase uttered repeatedly, constantly, tirelessly by a man who never stood in front of a camera, but quietly formed a legend. The figure is Jungkook's father, and the sentences, "Be a person who values others, no matter what your position." To the public, Jungkook's father's name is a mystery. Not much is known about him. He did not appear on television screens, did not pursue fame, almost never even gave public statements. But as it turned out, it was this man who planted the seeds of a noble personality in Jungkook, making him not only an idol because of his voice and face, but also because of his attitude and values behind the curtain of fame. Hidden the advice that continues to resonate in the mind of a boy who is now adored by millions of people around the world. And now, Jungkook's father's words are sticking out again, becoming viral, and inviting a flood of netizens' tears. Why? At a time when the world is increasingly preoccupied with image, prestige, and ego, Jungkook's father teaches him that the most important thing is not to win or be popular, but to respect others. The sentence seems simple, but when said meaningfully, in an honest and sincere emotional state, the impact explodes like a lightning bolt that splits the silence. Recently, in a never-before-published interview, Jungkook suddenly uttered a single sentence that left the entire studio silent. He looked at the camera and said, "My dad always said, Jungkook, you can be anything, but if you forget to respect others, then you are nothing." That sentence instantly made the host, crew, even the staff look down in silence. Not a few shed tears. Jungkook didn't cry when he said it. But the trill of his voice, the depth of his gaze, and the silent pause that followed, that was more than enough to shatter anyone's defenses. As if in that moment, the whole world was forced to stop and reflect. In the midst of the excitement of the entertainment world, where everyone is racing to be greater, richer, more famous, comes one gentle but striking message: respect others. However, behind those words, there is a childhood story that makes the heart shrink. Jungkook was not always at the top. Before becoming an idol, he was an ordinary boy in Busan who often felt insecure. In those quiet moments, when he came home from school with a gloomy face because he didn't feel as good as his peers, Jungkook's father never told him to be more competitive or ambitious. His father didn't force him to be number one, but he just said, "If you can respect other people, the world will respect you back." And as it turned out, that advice formed the whole basis of Jungkook's life. In every interview, in every concert, in every look he had at ARMY, there was always a sincere nuance that could not be engineered. This is not the result of agency training. This is not an acting technique. This is the result of the upbringing of a father who instills golden values in the hearts of his children. More surprisingly, recently one of Jungkook's childhood friends leaked that Jungkook used to defend a friend who was bullied just because of his appearance. The other children sneered, but Jungkook stood in front of them and said, "He has a good heart. You don't know who he is. You have no right to belittle him." When asked how he came to be so wise at such a young age, Jungkook simply replied, "My father said, everyone deserves respect." These kinds of moments rarely come to the surface, but are now beginning to unfold as fans and journalists begin to trace the roots of Jungkook's personality. Even his former vocal coach once said in a closed forum, "Jungkook is not just a hard worker. He treated everyone from the staff to the driver with deep respect. I've never seen an idol like that." And as everyone knows, such behavior is not born of fame, it is born of home, of upbringing, of simple sentences repeated over and over again by a father who never seeks the spotlight. Netizens are now speaking out. On social media, the hashtag #Pechuaya Jungkook suddenly trending. Many rewrote the quote and admitted that they were moved to appreciate others more in everyday life. Someone wrote, "I got angry at the mini-market cashier because of the long line. But after reading Jungkook's father's words, I felt ashamed and went back there to apologize." Another wrote, "I have come to realize that respecting others is not a matter of empty courtesy. But that's the essence of being human." But behind all this, there is also speculation that is beginning to spread. Some sources in the industry say that Jungkook's father is actually a very influential figure in the big decisions taken by the idol. They range from the decision to remain humble despite being global, to the decision to reject some major projects because they do not correspond to his values. It is even rumored that when HYB wanted to form a more edgy image for Jungkook, The father allegedly intervened and said, "You can be a trend, but don't let you lose value." The statement caused an internal uproar. Many do not believe there is a father from the ordinary who is so strong to maintain the integrity of his child even in an ecosystem as big as HYB. But now, seeing how Jungkook remains true to himself, many believe that power really comes from a simple man who does not appear on the screen, but becomes a moral pillar behind the scenes. And now, after decades, the advice came out to the surface and touched millions of people. A simple phrase turns into a healing spell in a world often scarred by selfishness and judgment. Be a person who values others, whatever your position. The phrase is now printed on various merchandise by fans. Not a few teachers in Korea who make it the opening quote in the moral class. One school even posted the quote on the main wall of its building as a symbol that grades are everything. It's no exaggeration to say that Jungkook's father didn't just raise a superstar. He created man to be an example. He taught his son not to be famous, but to be good. And through Jungkook, the world can now see that in the spotlight of stage lights, there is one light that will never go out: the value of respecting others. Perhaps the world today is thirsty for sincerity. Maybe that's why Jungkook's father's simple sentence feels so powerful. At a time when everyone is competing to be adored, he actually teaches his son to be the one who worships values. And from that, perhaps, we can all learn that true appreciation does not come from trophies, not from applause, but from the ability to look at our fellow human beings with respect. And now, one question that arises and echoes in all our hearts is, have we also valued others enough? If not, then maybe it's time. Because if a K-pop king alone is taught to always respect his fellow human beings, what is our reason not to do it? Behind all the glitter and excitement of the entertainment world, who would have thought that Jungkook's true strength does not come from the golden microphone, nor from the camera spotlight or the glamour of the celebrity world? That power was born long before the first stage, long before Big Hit's audition, even long before the name Jungkook became a worldwide stage identity. That strength comes from the gentle but firm voice of a father who never stops reminding, never forget who you are, and never stop appreciating others, even if the whole world loves you. And this story not only inspires, but also opens up a dark side of the world that has always been covered with camera smiles, pressure, exploitation, image manipulation, and how a young boy almost lost himself. If it weren't for his father's voice that kept echoing in his head. In a closed-door interview that was recently leaked to the public, a former Big Hit manager, who is now retiring early due to severe stress, revealed a surprising fact. According to him, there were times when Jungkook experienced an identity crisis due to the pressure to look perfect. Not only about physical or vocal, but also about the demand to always be the ideal idol version of the company.